Good evening, and welcome once again to the Oaklander, the public access program that provides a forum to local celebrities who wish to entertain, enlighten, or submit their creative talents to be featured on our show. I'm your host, Al DiGiacomo. Our first guest appeared on our show along with fiery blues guitar player John Paris back in February of 1996. Since then, when he's not playing with his good friend Les Paul in the Iridium in New York City, he's been recording his own upcoming compact disc. It's a pleasure once again to welcome Lou Paulo. Lou, thanks a lot for coming down and sharing a couple of songs with us, and hopefully a few stories.
Oh, sure. I thank you for having me.
So in the last 2 years since you've been on the Oaklander here,
yes.
We've gotten to be pretty tight one another, seeing you play around
yes.
town and things like that.
Locally.
And I'm sure some of our people at home are eager to find out what you've been up to in regards to your new CD. Let's talk a little bit about that.
About the CD. Well, I'm still working on it, as you know. We were in the studio last Wednesday, and we not completed, but we did 9 songs in one day, which is very hard to do. 10 in the morning till about 7:30 at night, and but the 9 songs have to be. I have to go in again next week and put some more guitar parts on a few of the songs, and the vocals have to be put on. But the 9 will be done, I'd say, in about 2 weeks, and then I'll be bringing other guests in and doing the other 10, maybe 10 more songs we're going to do.
And virtually, this is like a list of who's who.
Sort of.
You've had
Sort of.
quite a number of celebrities that have played on there.
Yes.
I think the last member to join up was Bucky Pizzarelli.
Yes, one of the greatest.
And you were kind enough to bring a photograph with us, which you referred to as the New Jersey Guitar Mafia.
That's
What do you say we start off? Let's see if we can get a close up on this picture here.
And if we could start from the left bottom, of course, there's the man himself, Les Paul.
Les Paul.
Right on the very left bottom. And to his right, sitting there, is Tony Mottola, who actually was the guitar player of New York City. He did all the recordings. He was the first man to really start in the studio. And then, of course, I go to the left, start with the left. That's myself up in the corner. Next comes to me there's Al Caiola, who is with Steve and Edie right now. Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet, that's who he's playing with now. And he also did Bonanza, the theme Bonanza, the Magnificent Seven, all the movie themes he's done.
Please name them. My arms are getting tired.
Oh, well, okay. And then we have our bass player, Paul Nowinski, who plays bass with the Les Paul Trio. Vinnie Bell. Let's just name it, and then we'll talk about it.
Sure.
And Bucky Pizzarelli all the way to the right. Okay,
Great.
now your arms getting, are you okay
That's
now?
it. So that's it for the Guitar Mafia.
That's the Guitar Mafia. Well, there are a few more that are not in there. But as I said, Tony Mottola was the first man to really take over. Like he was like the president of all the recording industry. And when Frank Sinatra wanted to record, Perry Como, in those days Barbra Streisand wasn't around, but let's say Barbra Streisand, they would use Tony Mottola first. If he couldn't make it, then it went to Bucky. And if Bucky couldn't make it, then Al Caiola. And then to Vinnie Bell, who's also in that picture.
Is he related to the producer Tommy Mottola?
No, no. He has a son named Tony Mottola, and that's it. No. But Tony has played with Sinatra, and you'll see him on a lot of the tapes that they've been playing of Sinatra.
So the CD, have you got a working title with it so far? Or?
No, I'm leaving that up to the producers.
So the producer does all that type of stuff. You're
Yes.
just into the nuts and bolts of playing.
That's good. That's a good point, nuts and bolts. Just let me do the music. I told them, you take care of everything else.
Well, speaking of some nuts and bolts,
Nuts and bolts.
how about it's time to go to work, Lou?
Oh yeah, this is a nut and bolt, right. Anything particular, I'd say. Little moon glow. Must have a trio behind me though. Picnic. You remember the movie Picnic?
Yeah, I think I was a small boy at that time.
You must have been. You were very small. Yeah.
Now, you've had some other people that were almost really dying to play with you on this CD. Keith Richards?
Yes, we have Keith, Jason Newsted with Metallica, the bass player, who we haven't gotten together yet because he's on the road. Keith Richards is on the road right now. Scotty Moore was with Elvis Presley way back in the beginning.
Scotty Moore or
Scotty Moore.
Bobby Moore?
No, Scotty Moore.
Okay.
And he's in Nashville. I've talked to him a few times, and he's ready to fly up, but we just haven't had the chance to put all these men together. And I have Commander Cody from Commander Cody and the Lost Planet Airmen.
Sure.
He just called today, and on and on. There are so many that I could put on, but I'm not going to have enough room.
How many songs are you working on that is a good starting point, and then the producer would decide and pick and choose? What do you usually do? Maybe 12 songs onto a compact disc? You record 25,
yes,
30 songs?
We're going to record about 20.
Yeah?
23, 24, 25, and I'll let him pick.
And mostly
likes to pick.
you do the selection?
I've been picking all the songs. They haven't bothered me with that. They haven't, which is nice that I picked my own songs.
It must be wonderful to be at a point in your life where the maturity, the wisdom, the talent all comes together.
Yes. Yeah.
Where you can
right.
stretch your stuff and be a contender.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Oh, I like that one. The contender.
Yeah, in the New Jersey Guitar Mafia.
Oh,
It must be a wonderful feeling, Lou.
It is. It is. Last week when Bucky and I were in the studio, it was just a pleasure to have. One of the songs we're doing is just two guitars, and it's so pretty to have him back me up. And Bucky is known for his rhythm playing like I am with Les Paul and everything. I'm always the backup man, and so I play the melody, like to Sun in the Clouds. And he's backing me up on it. And then I said, okay, Bucky, on my recording, you play a lead part and let me back you up because I want to give him an opportunity, just like we all deserve that chance too. And that's another thing to talk about, all these gentlemen we were just talking about. They're always in the background. Perry Como's out there singing, there's Vinnie Bell behind him, and there's Tony Mottola. Les Paul's out there, I'm behind him playing. Stephen Edie Lawrence, Al Coyola's behind him, and Bucky's been behind Sinatra also, and on
Sure.
and on. And without these men, I don't think these people would ever, how can they make it without the good musicians behind them?
That's true. That's absolutely true.
And they come up with good ideas. They play some pretty things behind them. And I know one story with Perry Como, when he did It's Impossible. Vinnie Bell told me that he walked out of the studio, he hated the song, became #1 in a couple of weeks.
He started to like it at that point.
Yeah, right.
Residuals. Is this the first CD that you've done by yourself? I mean, you've been on many recordings yourself, haven't you, through the years?
Yes.
Which has been how many years now that you've been in the business?
In the business? Wow, I have to count the years. I've never counted them. Let's say 40, 35, 40. About 35, 40 years.
So you got 40 years. What's one of your favorite songs that you enjoy playing that, I mean, really gets your juices flowing, gets you in the mood to play? Or do you have one that's really special?
Well, not really, but it's there's so many beautiful songs out there.
I'm asking you to think so you can play
I really
one right now.
I'll play something like summertime. It's strange to play without like a nice bass behind you or a
Sure.
piano behind you, and but it's fun though, especially with guitar.
Even locally, it must be a little like a fish out of water for you because you've got the bass pedals and
Yes,
the rhythm are going,
yes.
and it just occurred to me.
Right.
It doesn't look like you're having that much fun here tonight.
Oh, I'm having
I mean,
fun.
I mean, you've got your rhythmer.
Oh, sure. You have everything working behind.
When
so
you're
you can-
working local,
Right.
you've got your Bob Sarro, your Seneca Sarro,
right.
who come up and have you known these people?
Yes, I've known them for a long time. And that's the same thing, backing them up.
And we will continue a bit with that when we come back with Lou Paulo, commonly known as the man of 1 million inversions, and we'll talk about that when we return. Please stay with us with Lou Paulo.
It's Aesop and the Fables.
A crow took some cheese up into a tree. A hungry fox said, won't you sing for me? How beautiful you are. Why, you could be a star. The crow was very flattered. She liked those pretty words. She always thought that she sang better than the other birds. So she fluffed up her feathers and opened her beak. Down the cheese went falling to the fox's feet. You have a lovely voice, the fox said with a munch. But you're not that smart, my friend. Now I've got your lunch. The moral of the story, if you're sitting in a tree and you see a fox below you, beware of flattery.
Welcome back to the Oaklander. We're lucky enough to have Lou Paulo as our musical guest this evening, and he's brought along his guitar, and we'll hear more about that in a minute. Lou, we were talking about how you perform locally here, and you bring up a lot of people that you've known, Bob Seneca Sarro.
Right, yes.
We were talking about that. Have you worked with these people on a professional level, or are they people that you know, more or less friendly in a friendly environment, and they come down and perform with you, and it looks like you have such a good time with that.
Yes, we do have a good time there. There are a lot of people who come in that are customers, and they sang, and some have done it years ago professionally, some haven't, some are just frustrated singers in the shower, as you would say, and so forth. And if you know, they keep a tune, keep a song, and keep in tune and so forth, it's great to bring them up and have fun. And then I do have a lot of pros that come down too. Like for instance, Al Caiola came in one night and played all night. Les has sat in with me millions of times. John Paris comes in and plays with me when he's off, and you get a lot of these pros. And we had Doug Macko. I don't know if you know Doug, a friend of mine. Dougie.
Yeah, sure.
He's with a group. It's called, I don't know his new group, but it's a blues group he's putting together, which will be on your show very shortly.
We're looking forward to it.
Yes, but these are people like who are out in the business playing that come in. But then there are people who have done it many years ago, but never have been out professionally singing or playing. But they're good. A lot of them are good. So we get them too.
Now, going back to your CD, you started off in one recording studio out in Long Island.
Yes.
And now you're working where, in Manhattan now?
Now the studio we changed to Weehawken.
Weehawken.
In Weehawken.
Back to the Guitar Mafia.
Oh yeah, well, we're back in Jersey.
We're back in Jersey
there
for
we
the
go.
Guitar
There's
Mafia.
The shirts they're
That's right. There's shirts
putting out in New
available.
York. In Weehawken, the studio that's in Weehawken used to be the record plant in New York, which was one of the biggest studios.
Sure.
In New York. John Lennon, in fact, the John Lennon piano is in the studio in Weehawken called Iwi Studios. And the fellow who owned it, Roy Cicala, is still there, and he's doing my engineering, which is great to have him.
Has this really kind of opened up a new vista for you, being at this point in your life here, you're doing something on your own now? What has this experience, has it led to something you haven't seen before?
As far as in the studio itself?
On a personal level, on the inside, do you see our viewpoint changes? Have you learned or met something new under the sun
in the recording industry, in the recording studio? Oh, yes, there are a lot of changes. There are a lot of changes. Of course, now you have digital, which has been out for a while. But everyone is still going analog. I think everyone knows, I hope they know what analog is. That's tape. It still has a warmer sound. Digital is
your finger. One of your fingers.
Exactly.
No, that's...
It's a warmer sound. Digital is a clean sound. It comes back exactly as we're speaking, or if you hit a note, that note comes back exactly, and it's all numbers in digital. It's not really music. It's all numbers as far as I know, whereas tape is still warm. But I still like the tape, but we're recording on tape. We're recording on tape.
How about singing us a song, Lou?
Oh, yeah, that would be...
Are you inspired?
Yeah, sure. I was just trying to think. Let's think of something we can do. Like, here's one of our... Well, we did this on the last show, so I better do something different, like what we're doing on the CD, but a little different.
Wonderful.
With a whole group, by the way, you know. And Bucky with me. Blue sky smiling at me. Nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song. Nothing but bluebirds all day long. Never saw the sun shining so bright. Never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my, how they fly, blue days, all of them gone. Nothing but blue skies from now on. Never saw the sun shining so bright. Never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my, how they fly, blue days, all of them gone. Nothing but blue skies from now on. From now on. From now on. That's the way it ends.
Lou,
But
that
anyway,
was
it's just
wonderful.
cute. It's a cute thing.
Now I understand 1 million inversions.
Oh, because I was playing a lot of different chords.
Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum
Yeah,
there.
ba-dum.
Up and down.
That's a good one. It sounds like an
Yeah, for
Italian,
sure.
like a... That's a ba-da-boom, ba-da-boom.
It's an Oaklander yada, yada, yada.
Oh, yeah, oh, yada, yada. How does
Yada,
yada,
yada.
yada go? How does that go?
Listen, I understand that
it's
you've
fine.
got an opportunity, and I don't know how far we can talk about this, but there's a possibility that you may be playing in Carnegie Hall this year.
Yes, I'm supposed to do something with Bucky. We'll be doing that. It's supposed
How
to be
does
in
that
September. In September.
How does that
Feels
feel?
great.
Yeah?
Feels great, yeah.
Be the first time playing in Carnegie
First
Hall?
time, it is. Very first time. We were supposed to do something about 4 years ago, and I think Les didn't feel good, or something happened. We were supposed to do it, and we never did do it. So it'll be my first time. And
Will Les
I'd
be
like
with
to-
you?
No, it'll be just Bucky and a 40-piece orchestra.
Really? 40 piece?
Mm.
That sounds wonderful, Lou.
And I'll be playing mandolin on it, I think. That's what...
Well, you
mostly,
play it
some
all,
guitar.
banjo, mandolin.
Yeah, it'll be mandolin probably. Because we've done some recording, Bucky and I, where I play mandolin on it, and so forth. Let's see, what else I was going to tell you about. A story I've never told on TV was Sammy Davis Jr. I'll never forget. We had a rehearsal, and usually they have rehearsal in the afternoon, and George Rhodes, I think, was the conductor or the band leader. I don't know, whoever will remember. And, oh, God, I guess he had about 18-piece band. So we're in the afternoon, and I'm sitting up there, and the guitar is always by the drummer. And to my right is the bongo, conga player. Johnny Mendoza was to my right, and I forgot who the drummer was. And all the brass is up front. They come in with the music. The music is this high, just for guitar. Just the guitar music from the floor, from the camera, is like this. So now we rehearse, let's say, What Kind of Fool Am I, and all these songs that he does, and you put them on the top of the pile. And during the show, you put them up on your stand and you read it. So what happens, he has 5 renditions of What Kind of Fool Am I. One he does for TV, one he does for live performance, one he does for if he's in Europe, another one, he has all kinds of renditions. So we rehearsed all these renditions. What Kind of Fool Am I? They're starting to play it, and I'm getting the thing, and he says, we changed it to the other rendition. Now you have to look through all this music to find it. I went through the music. The bongo player saying to me, just play, don't worry about it. Play, you don't need the music. So I got to find out what key we're in. So by the time I found it, the song was over. That was the first song. I missed it. Missed the complete first song. But they didn't miss the guitar, because usually the guitar, usually in the background like this. But it was funny that there's so much music, and they have so many renditions of music. I guess Sinatra must have a book that, is out of this world. And a book means arrangements.
Sure.
To
Yeah.
people.
People have worked long and hard.
God, he must have, like, New York, he must have about 20 different arrangements of it, of one song. And he's done thousands and thousands of songs. But, there are a lot of funny stories in the business.
Well, Lou, we're running a little short of time here. I hope that people will visit you and Les at the Iridium
I hope so.
in New York. I know that there's and I don't have it here, but I know there's a website for the Iridium.
Yes, there is.
You wouldn't know it either.
I wouldn't know, no.
So for people who are online, do a search for the Iridium. And Lou, can you leave us with one here?
Sure. You want a
Wonderful.
vocal, or just, it just doesn't matter? We'll just go,
I'd love to hear you sing.
All right. Doesn't have to be up. We can do something nice and pretty.
Well, listen, good luck with that CD project, Lou, and come back, join us again. And ladies and gentlemen, Lou Paulo.
Once I had a secret love that lived within the heart of me. All too soon, my secret love became impatient to be free. So I told a friendly star the way that dreamers often do, just how wonderful you are. That's why I'm so in love with you. Now I shouted from the highest hill. I even told the golden daffodils. At last my heart's an open door, and my secret love's no secret anymore. Cut that short for you.
Stop! We're wasting time. Can we work together?
We could all share.
Welcome back to the Oaklander. Joining us now is Karen Dubowick. Karen is with the Oakland Health Department, and they will be sponsoring Oakland Family Health Day on October 3rd of this year. Karen, thank you for coming down and telling our viewers on what we can expect here in town for Oakland Family Health Day. I believe the main thrust of Oakland Family Health Day is how to manage stress.
That's right, Al. We believe that stress is something that everyone from children to our senior citizens suffer from, and it's something that needs to be managed, because unmanaged stress can cause many problems. It actually can cause problems, physical problems, emotional problems. People can end up having headaches, stomach problems, back problems, neck aches, really just about cover the gamut of every disease or illness. So we believe it's important, and that's why we're making that the thrust of our health fair this year.
And I see that there's many things that we have that can help you deal with stress. Can you tell some of our viewers on what they can expect down there?
Sure. We're going to have a lot of screenings that day. We're going to have vision screening, a dental oral cancer screening, hearing screening, asthma, skin cancer, a spinal screening. We'll have someone doing a preschool speech screening. We'll be doing a blood pressure screening and depression, as well as a screening to assess your stress level, which we think is important because that kind of goes along with the theme. We'll also be doing a medication assessment, so anybody who's taking medication, and if they want to make sure that there's no interactions that are causing problems, they can bring their medication actually to the health fair and have a doctor evaluate it to make sure that there aren't any problems with interactions. We're also going to be offering a lot of different alternative therapies or information about alternative therapies, and we'll be offering chair massage for people who want to get some of their stress reduced. We'll also be doing foot reflexology and Reiki, which is an alternative therapy.
Yes,
Reiki, yes. We also have someone coming in to do biofeedback, and that's important because you can learn how to control that stress level, learn how to reduce your heart rate, which is very helpful. We're also going to have different relaxation exercises and workshops, so we'll be teaching techniques on how to reduce your stress. We'll be doing Tai Chi workshops, Qigong, and deep relaxation. So, we have a lot of different things being offered, and we hope that we'll be able to attract the gamut of the population.
I'm really impressed by the fact that the alternative method is being promoted by a public department, because I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. The alternative things that you've described there can improve one's health leaps and bounds. Simple things like transcendental meditation.
That's correct.
Can actually help reduce things like crime. And it's little known fact that the more people that meditate, the better the whole world gets.
That's
So it's wonderful
true.
to hear that this is being done there. This is not the first time that Oakland has sponsored a family health day, is it?
Actually, we have promoted health for as long as the health department has been in existence.
The health department, we
That's
expect
right.
that.
That's right. We have not had a health fair of this magnitude in a number of years. We have had SMAC programs and flu programs each year, but we haven't had a large health fair. Excuse me, let me take that back. Last year we did have a health fair, but it still was not of this magnitude. We're really trying to offer the public choices, and the more knowledge people have about the choices they have in their health care, I think the more empowered they'll feel. So,
where will the event be held? It seems like there's a plethora of things to choose from. Is it surely not at the health department building?
No, the health department wouldn't quite handle that size of crowd. We're going to do it at the Valley Middle School, and the reason why we chose the Valley Middle School is because, number one, it's wheelchair accessible, so our handicapped citizens can have access to it, and it's also stroller friendly. It's all on one level, so people can come in and take advantage of all the different services and screenings that we're going to be offering.
And this is when?
This is Saturday, October the 3rd, and it'll be from 8 o'clock in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon. So,
how many people are you expecting? You expecting a lot of folks? And is this only for Oakland residents?
No, it's open to anyone, and we hope that some residents or some people from outside of Oakland come and check it out. And we're promoting health to the population, not just Oakland residents, because it's important for everybody to be healthy.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That is really great. There's also something going on for people who have some preschoolers, or that the library will be pitching in?
Yes, that's right. We're looking for volunteers, for students to volunteer at the library to tell stories, read books to the preschoolers. Actually, not only preschoolers, it would be from age 3 to 7, so that parents can travel through the health fair and take advantage of the screenings and speak to our different health specialists in a an unstressed atmosphere.
Sure.
So we welcome the children, and they're certainly welcome to come and have their, have the hearing screenings and the various screenings that are open to them. But if the parents would like to bring the children and then drop them off for storytelling and then have some relaxed time to be able to listen to some of our workshops and lectures, I think, and we hope that that will work out well for them.
Now, who are going to be doing the screenings themselves? Are they volunteers or?
Actually, we are very, very pleased with the participation and the sense of generosity that our local health specialists have shown us. When we sent out the invitations, we didn't know what kind of a response we were going to get, and the doctors and various health specialists, nurses, massage therapists have been absolutely wonderful with their time. They've really, been very generous. So we are extremely pleased and very grateful to all the participants.
And we really should send our accolades to the Valley Middle School, because they've helped OKTV out when we've had auditions. They open the doors. It's a very open door policy at our school, and we really should be proud of that as a community.
Yes.
And
I'd like to mention that one of the reasons why we chose to have the health fair at Valley Middle School is because we would like the kids in town to understand that they're a vital part of our community, and we would like them to become involved. It would give them exposure in the community. We also chose Valley Middle School because, well, like I mentioned before, because of the accessibility, but we thought perhaps the students may feel a sense of pride knowing that this event is being held at their school.
well, again, we've offered our forum also is to offer people such as yourself that are doing good things for people, that you are always welcome for your talents and to express your views here on the show. So it's just wonderful how everything's coming together here in town. So that's very, very good news to hear. I'm sorry?
I was just going to mention that we're going to be doing a number of lectures in order to provide the community with information. We have a number of topics. We're going to have someone doing a talk on, one of our chiropractors will be doing a talk on nutritional supplements, and because so many people want to improve their health, but they don't know what kinds of supplements to take, and also how many, what the levels of the supplement. So that's important. This chiropractor will also be doing a talk about homeopathy, which is another one of the alternative methods, or a method of alternative health care.
Sure.
And
keep yourself healthy.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We have a therapist coming in to do a talk on saying no without feeling guilty. So many of us have become doormats, and we feel frustrated and angry and resentful because whenever we're asked to do something, we just don't know how to say no. And we want to say no, but just never learned. We feel guilty. So it's very important to understand what our human rights are, and this will all be covered in the talk about saying no without feeling guilty. We'll have an animal control officer, our Oakland's animal control officer, coming in, talking about animal control. There's so much concern today about rabies, and he can address that issue. He will address that issue during his talk, I'm sure. We also have the clinical director of the breath and lung and sleep disorder at Hackensack University Medical Center coming in to do a talk about sleep disorders, and her staff will be here to discuss sleep disorders and answer any questions if people have problems snoring at night and they can't get their good night's sleep, which is vital to good health.
Sure.
This would be a perfect opportunity to get information about that. We have a urologist coming in talking about testicular care and prostate cancer, and that's important too. We want men to know that their health is just as important as women's health.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We've been covering
That's wonderful.
We've been covering women's health issues for a long time, and we just want men to know that they're just as important too.
Well, Karen, I want to thank you for coming down. Our time is short here, but I want to remind the folks here that Saturday, October 3rd, 1998, from 8:30 to 2 o'clock, at the Valley Middle School. Please, one and all, come down and take part. take your own health into consideration and come down to the Oakland Family Health Day.
That's right.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much,
sharing
Al.
it with us, Karen.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
How come the sun shines?
Well, long ago, it was so dark, cold, and lonely.
Did we cry?
Yes, but the sun heard us crying, and it shone brighter to see what was going on.
And then it was bright enough?
No, but when all the people and animals looked up and saw the beautiful sun, they laughed and were thankful. That made the sun burst out laughing too, and then it was bright enough.
And will it still be laughing in the morning?
Yes.
Welcome back to the program. Earlier this year, we featured a wood sculptor from Franklin Lakes by the name of Brian Beerer. While we were preparing for his interview, he suggested that maybe in a future day we would have an interest in a talented model maker. Brian was proudly putting in a plug for his brother Ed. And Ed Beerer is here to show some of his collection of World War II model airplanes and to talk of the historical reference they represent. Thanks for being here, Ed.
Thank you.
Now, how did you get started in model making? Was it as a boyhood charm, or?
It sort of was. I remember around 1965 or so, my dad built a couple of models for me as a see if you're interested sort of thing, and I was very interested, and I made him build a lot of models.
And so you were about 7 years old at that
Yeah.
point? And I see that there's different types of scales that modelers choose to build in. What scale do you like to work in, and why?
These here are all 1/48 scale,
Meaning?
meaning 1/48 actual size, or 1 inch equals 4 feet.
What?
And this is more or less what is known as the American scale. In Europe, they do 1/72nd scale, which is much smaller. 1 inch on the model equals 6 feet in real life, or 1/72nd actual size. But I guess this is us decadent Americans having lots of room and lots of money, so the planes are bigger.
We like big things.
Yes.
So in real life, how large would this plane be?
These single-engine fighters here are about 45 feet long. Wingspan maybe 40 feet, give or take.
Mm-hmm. And what was it about World War II planes that attracted your interest?
Well, actually, at the time that Dad was building models for me, that was pretty much all that was available. It was the most common type of plane that you could find in a store, so that's what I got.
And these planes, have you learned, what have you learned from a historic viewpoint? I mean, do you study the dates that they were flying, or the type of squadrons, or the type of missions that they were on?
Mostly all of the above. You buy this kit and you get these markings with it, so you build the model and you want to know what did these markings mean, when did the plane fly. So you do a little research, and when all of that is said and done, I had the entire history of the world from, say, 1935 up through Vietnam by studying the planes, because the farther you learn and the deeper you go into the research, everything else that happened in whatever war the plane was in follows.
I see. And how many pieces do you have in your collection over the years, Ed?
Well, right now there are about 120 that are in one piece or almost one piece.
I see.
11 or 12 I'm in the process of building. You get tired of it, you put it down for a couple of weeks, couple of months, go back to it.
It's not something that you start to work on and it consumes you night after night or something until it's done. It's just something that you can put away and come back to?
Well, in the beginning, that's the way I did it. I took one out of the box and worked on it till it was done. But then as I became better at it and it took a longer time to actually finish, you got downright sick of it, and you had to, at some point near completion, put it aside for a couple of months so that all familiarity with it disappeared, and then you'd pick it up and, oh, this is nice, and you would start building it again and finish it, and it was something new, the second time around, because you waited so long.
It seems like there's a great amount of detail that goes into the paint, and I don't see any glue dripping off anywhere here. You seem to be quite meticulous with this. But how long would one take to do something like this one here with the camouflage? And is that done with a brush?
Well, this one was done with an airbrush. You can tell because, well, these
yeah, why don't we hold that up there and hold it
outside on the
for
wing
our
there
camera
were made with a paintbrush, and you can tell because they're not as fine and crinkly, shall we say, as the airbrush lines. But the further research told me that when the Japanese camouflaged this, they used everything they could get their hands on. This was probably camouflaged by one guy with a spray gun and two guys with sponges dipped in paint. And one guy started at one end, the other guy started in the back, and when they met in the middle, they were done. And it looked like that. It looked messed up and uneven.
Do you do a lot of research in libraries for the correct color shades and markings?
About half of these colors here are quite inaccurate. I didn't know that at the time, but as further books became available and I got the federal standard color numbers that they match the colors to, that this yellow is off, but if you don't know, it looks great.
Now, I'm sure that modeling is not what it used to be, say, when you and I were young boys or so back in back then. Since the days of the 1960s, do you find that the supplies that you use are the same type, or is there new high-tech type of supplies that they use in modeling these days?
All of the above. Since I assume we were talking about the late 60s, early 70s when we were growing up, at least when I was growing up.
The 1960s?
Yes.
Okay.
The supplies you used, you found all over the place. And now it's more specialized. You go to one place, they have all the supplies there, or at least one form of everything you need. Joe's Hobby Shop would have a different brand of tweezer, but it's all in one place now. It's all concentrated.
Are they the same manufacturers as years ago? The Revell, the Monogram, are they still the stalwarts of the modelers?
Yes and no. The Japanese companies, particularly Tamaya and Hasegawa, have made huge inroads, and if you don't go by price alone, they're pretty much the best kit of whatever plane they choose to make, generally better than an American kit.
I mean, years ago, something like that in the local drugstore may go for $2.25.
Don't remind me.
No more?
That particular kit cost me $18.95, and today, this was, I bought it about 8 years ago. Today it's $22.
I guess that's, price and demand, or supply and demand, or?
Well, I personally think that they all got together and decided to hike the prices,
okay.
But don't tell anybody.
Now, you put a lot of creative time while you were recuperating from some operations that you had here. Was it good creative therapy for you, getting over some of the health problems?
It kept me from thinking about what was going on, and it kept my mind occupied. So in that sense, yes, it was very good.
Kind of get lost in what you were doing, and just
the day goes by like that. You're done, go to sleep, wake up the next day. Yeah.
I think when people get involved in doing something that they truly love or truly enjoy, I think it has a very, very beneficial effect on their health.
No doubt.
That's really great. That's really great. So tell us a little bit about some of the other pieces that you have on the table here for us, Ed. Take the one all the way to our immediate left there.
This is a P-51 Mustang, which was generally recognized to be the foremost American fighter in the Second World War, although there are some that would disagree with you. This particular one was sold to Sweden in 1945 at the end of the war, and in 1949, or very close to then, was resold to the fledgling state of Israel, which desperately needed airplanes of any kind. And on that subject, this is the initial version of the Messerschmitt 109, which some of you out there may have heard of, the most famous, probably single-engine fighter of all time. And this was the Messerschmitt in its World War II form. This particular plane belonging to the world's second leading ace, who shot down 301 Russians with this plane. And this one in the middle here is the last model of the Messerschmitt 109 ever produced, and it was surprisingly the first fighter that the Israelis ever owned, and I think that that makes quite a contrast with the Nazi markings and all the Nazi, the terrible deeds that the Nazis accomplished. And it's very funny, like I said, that the last production model of that plane wound up fighting for Israel.
There are some stark realities in that. Basically, you stay with World War II. I see you have, is that an F-14, F-15?
This is an F-5, which is a trainer, basically, to teach American pilots how to fly jets. And they found out it was quite a good fighter. So they entered in a competition to become an international fighter that would be sold to American allies. See, it wasn't good enough, fast enough, heavy enough, didn't carry enough bombs to be an American fighter, but we sold it to everyone else who felt like it. This particular version, these are Iranian markings. This fought for Iran in the 1980 war with Iraq. So they were fighting Saddam, and at the time, Saddam Hussein of Iraq was on our side, and he was fighting the Iranians who, we were pissed off at them for some reason or another. And, Saddam had French planes fighting American planes, and there were British planes. The politics of what markings are where and who bought what plane makes for the fascinating history part.
So as a whole, what have you learned about the whole history of aviation, building these models? Is there a certain model of a plane or a story from one particular aircraft model that sticks out in your mind, Ed?
There's many fascinating ones, and I could talk about it for hours.
Oh, please do.
Many more hours than we have here.
Please do.
But, well, all right. Well, real quickly, this is a P-47 Thunderbolt, and this plane predated the Mustang into combat. And at the end of the war, when they chalked up the results, how many were shot down, how many planes the pilots of these shot down, the Mustang shot down many more planes than the Thunderbolt, and the average Mustang pilot shot down, let's see, about 6 planes before a Mustang was lost. And the Thunderbolt's numbers in all cases were much lower. And so people naturally say, well, the Mustang was the plane. But the Thunderbolt, since it fought earlier, was up against much better, much more skilled opposition from mostly Luftwaffe pilots. And so its lower score is partially explained by the fact that the people it was facing were much better pilots than they were later.
And most of these planes were piloted by just one One pilot?
Yes, single seat in all these planes are single seat, with the exception of this twin engine plane, which has a pilots in the front and the men in the back is the radio operator, the observer, and he has a machine gun, and he's a gunner to fire out to the rear of the plane.
Well, mostly in World War II, you had fighters and bombers.
Yes, but then twin engine planes particularly were known as, for lack of a better term, a heavy fighter. This was pioneered by the Germans with the Messerschmitt 110, which was a twin engine plane similar to this but with a twin tail. Anyway, these planes had much greater range than the single-seat plane, and the idea was that they would fly out with the bombers, which could also fly farther than the single-engine fighters, and they could then defend the bombers throughout their entire...
Right.
And very shortly, it became apparent that the twin-engine plane cannot outmaneuver a smaller single-engine plane. I mean, that's just natural physics. So that's why the rear gunner appeared, and that's why the Germans particularly tried to keep their twin-engine planes flying at night against targets that couldn't see them coming. Because if it got in a fight with a single-engine plane, it almost always lost.
Yeah. Ed, we're going to take a little bit of a break here, and we'll be back in a few moments, so please stay with us.
If you want some information or you need some stimulation, check it out. Grab a book. Check it out. Take a look. If you have a fascination for the world of aviation, check it out. Exploration. Check it out. Earth's rotation. If you like exciting stories, royal riches, ancient glory, check it out. Mystery. Check it out. History. Fact or fiction. Good narration. Food for thought or inspiration. Check it out. Grab a book. Check it out. Have a
Welcome back to the Oaklander as we finish up our conversation with Ed Bira, who is a modeler. Ed, I understand that you've had some models on display in New York City on the battleship Intrepid. How did that come about?
That came about mostly as a result of the modeling club that I belong to. This club is called the Scale Modeling Enthusiasts, and they meet on the first Tuesday of every month, and if anyone's interested, you would call Mr. Ron Nickel at 201-652-5364, and he could tell you, I'm sorry, 201-652-5164, and he's El Presidente, and he can tell you everything about that. Anyway, in 1990, I think it was 1990, when the Intrepid was first opened as a museum in New York, our model club, in collaboration with the Long Island Model Club, collaborated on a display. We had the deck of the Intrepid next to the USS Enterprise, which is a modern carrier, and it's vastly bigger.
Sure.
And we built, the Long Island Club built the deck out of wood in 1/72nd scale. That's the scale I was discussing earlier, slightly smaller. And we then built planes for both decks. And we donated that to the Intrepid, and as far as I know, it's still there. And in just after the Desert Storm War in 1991, the Model Club built a model of all the planes that flew in the Desert Storm War, be they French, American, British, Iraq, whatever, in 1/48 scale, this scale here. And we didn't donate that to the Intrepid. We lent it to them. And I must admit, reluctantly, that I have not been on the Intrepid for about 3-4 years, and I'm told now that this Desert Storm display is no longer there. But I'm sure that the one that we donated, it belongs to them. It must still be there.
Well, it must be a very proud moment for you and your club.
Yes, it was.
Well, listen, Ed, we're just about out of time here. I want to thank you for bringing some of your models down here.
Sure.
And I want you to keep on doing what you do here, and keep your mind open. And again, I want to thank you for coming down and showing our folks at home what we do here. So we hope that you've enjoyed the show this evening, and as always, we encourage our viewers to be part of the show. Whatever form of creativity you choose to express your own unique qualities, give us a call at 201-405-1084 or on the web at www.oktv.org, or our email, or you can find our email addresses on that site there, and other OKTV programming and information. Again, our thanks to Lou Paulo of the Les Paul Trio for coming down and playing a few numbers for us, for modeler Brian Beerer for being our guest, and to Karen Dubowick for the Oakland Family Health Day coming up in October. To the OKTV crew, to Ellen Adler and Cable Vision for all their technical help producing the show, and the entire staff. And above all, thank you for watching. I'm Al DiGiacomo, and we are out of here.
Your baby